Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. I'm here to talk about Miami's second spring practice, some observations. We were able to watch about 45 minutes of that and shoot about half of that, so I'll have plenty of highlights on what I saw from practice. Mainly today I focused on the defensive backs. I will get into that, but first I want to get through a couple housekeeping things. I made a mistake on the last video. One of the things I mentioned was quarterback. I said Ryan Rizek. It's actually Aaron Howard. He's a walk-on quarterback from Arizona, ward number 16. I think maybe you guys saw that in the video that I did last one, but I definitely wanted to get the name correct. He wasn't on the Miami's official roster, but I was able to, which makes it a little difficult, but I was able to kind of track back and kind of find out who he was. So Aaron Howard, shout out to him, grinding through Miami Hurricanes football practices. The other thing I want to mention that I forgot to, and I've been waiting a couple days to mention this because I definitely wanted to mention this guy in the video, but I'm going to mention him today, and actually works out well, and that's Al Blades Jr. He was out there at practice on Monday, the first day of practice, and then today again, and it's just, first off, it's great seeing him out there, everything he's been through with health and being ready and being on the field after what happened last season, not able to be out there. And it was good to see him out there, and a full go guy. And also, honestly, to me, he looked good. You know, I thought he did well in drills on Monday, again today, did well in drills at the cornerback spot. And if you're wondering, okay, if Tyreek Stevenson's going to be that number one corner, who can be the number two guy? And I think when you, just in the couple days that I've seen, I think Al Blades Jr. certainly is in that mix. And I think he's a guy that I think throughout spring practices, as soon as he gets more reps and practices, he's going to be even better and back to his old self. And also, he's a guy that's played a lot of football and has experience, and I think there's still more to come with Al. And then, again, today, I paid attention to the defensive backs. There's some other things I want to note there, but sticking with Al, look good in drills, but also gets on the field on 11-on-11 action. Watching him, there was a play where the receiver he was guarding, it tipped off his pass and he missed it. He just seemed, you know, sometimes as a defensive back, you're expecting the guy to catch it. You weren't quite ready for an interception. Ball falls incomplete. A few plays later, I'm watching Al again, and this time it happened again, but this time Al came down with the interception. I thought it was great because I was looking forward to talking about him anyways, and he had an interception. So good day overall for Al. Again, able to be out there for about 45 minutes, but I thought he looked good, and he's one of these guys to pay attention to throughout the spring, because when you talk about guys that need to elevate their play or to have an opportunity, upperclassman guy, Al's one of those guys, and I think he could still do more than what we've seen already on the field. So definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses. Again, just a couple days, once again today, not in pads. Certainly things change in pads. And I do want to talk about the offensive line and defensive line, but I want to hold off. I've been waiting to talk about those guys until they get pads on. I did pay attention a little bit to the defensive line. Another correction I want to make from the video, in addition to Howard and leaving out Blades, is Cyrus Moss. I mentioned kind of a left DN spot. I kind of had it flipped around. He's playing that right DN spot. He was there again today. He was there the other day, rushing off the edge, kind of on that secondary group, the 2-3 group there. But just a freshman to watch for. Certainly looks good out there once again. You know, just kind of moving right along with the defensive line. I was able to watch a little bit of some tackling drills. You know, at the beginning of practice, some position groups, but really they just funneled a lot of the defensive guys in the same drill, and they talked a lot about, the coaches talked a lot about positioning today, you know, making sure that the guys are in the right spots. It felt like today when we were watching, again, we watched about 25 minutes through position groups. Then we had to go away, wait for about a half hour, then we were able to come back out there, watch some team stuff, some team action, some 2-minute offense, some hurry up type stuff. We weren't able to film that, but during position drills, it just felt like there was a lot of teaching going on from the coaches, and sometimes, you know, we didn't see a lot of reps, you know, at times, because they were doing a lot of teaching, and I think that's what's going on right now with the coaching staff. And once again, I paid attention to the defensive backs mostly, because the way it works is, as the media, we're only able to film from certain areas of the field, so it's kind of what position groups are right in front of us makes it easier. The offensive line, defensive line are oftentimes at the other end of the field, so we don't get a close look at them. So I definitely want to get to them. I'm planning on doing that third practice there on Friday, getting out there Friday morning and checking those guys out. more defensive line. In the offensive line, I haven't seen too much of them, but typical stuff. Zion Nelson, left tackle, first team. He talked after practice today. I do want to mention that, I forgot to mention, but Josh Gaddis, offensive coordinator, talked. Zion talked as well. Will Mallory and Elijah Arroyo, the 2 tight ends there, were talked after practice as well. But, just with Zion, somebody asked if he'd only been working at tackle, and he said, that coaches are kind of moving guys around a little bit and seeing where they fit in. I do expect Zion to be a tackle because there's just not a lot of tackle options on this team, I believe. But certainly he was up there on the first unit. Traore was the guy at left guard that I saw at the first group at times, just kind of rotating in. When you talk about offensive line, Campbell's not out there, Rivers limited. Both those guys are limited right now. So they're not taking all the reps that maybe they normally would, because those are guys that you expect to maybe be in that first or second group. But, just once again, going back to defensive backs, Jamal Adai's handling that group. And one of the things he was doing that he was talking a lot about when I talked about instruction and position group, and again, I'm going to post the video so you guys can see it for yourself. But he talked a lot about, they worked on a lot of drills about where the defensive backs need to be. They did a lot of stuff without the ball, so it's just about backpedaling, reading the play, whether to stay in or to go out, and the way you shield a receiver. He worked a lot on that, positioning, like I said. So I thought that was important to him, the way he instructed the guys. And I do want to mention, so the safeties kind of all were in a group at one point, but then they broke up into safeties and corners. And I do want to mention Gilbert Frierson, the guy that was working out during these position drills at cornerback. He's a guy that, I remember seeing him at Coral Gables, and that's kind of where he was projected at, maybe a corner safety guy. He kind of gets to Miami, starts there, kind of bounces around a little bit of corner safety early on in his career, and then he settles into that striker position, and it felt like maybe he'll be that nickel back under this new defense under Kevin Steele. But maybe he'll be a linebacker, but today, just based on what we saw today, he was working out with the cornerback group, but definitely a guy to watch for. He did play that nickel spot during some team drills, some 11-on-11 action, but Gilbert was there. Avante Williams, James Williams, 2 safeties that I'm paying close attention to. During the safety drills, they were definitely good to see. Brian Balaam's out there, good to see him as well. And just kind of made me think about defensive backs. After practice, I was kind of late getting out of there after interviews, getting my equipment set up or all packed away, and I get out there and I saw, former Miami defensive back DeMarcus Van Dyke talking with current linebackers coach Charlie Strong with a couple of other former Hurricanes. They were joking, having a good time, and it was Lamar Miller and Sean Spence, just seeing the 4 of them, and the conversation, I just kind of overheard them, and they seemed to have a good time talking. It was great to see Lamar and Sean, 2 of my favorite guys that I've covered here at UM, but good to see them out on campus. Other former guys we saw here today, Sheldrick Redwine was here, and as well as KJ Osborne, saw him at the end. So good to see some former guys back. And Sheldrick actually, he went through some defensive back drills with the team, had his cleats on and everything, did that, and then there was a point during the practice he was kind of working out with some of the rehab guys, getting some conditioning work in. Tyreek Stevenson and Jamari Ishmael, just getting some conditioning work in. They're ruled out for the spring, but they were doing some conditioning, so that's good to see out there as well. Although I was focusing primarily on the defense today, I did pay attention to the offense a little bit. One of the things I saw from Tyler Van Dyke from a passing standpoint, there were a couple things, him and Jake, but just particularly with Tyler, I thought he was doing a good job today of getting the ball to the middle of the field on some pass patterns, either on those 11-on-11 action that I talked about earlier, just kind of getting the ball to the middle field. I thought he did a good job of that. And it seemed to be Jake and him, the quarterbacks that were in there, really paid attention to get the ball to the running backs. It felt like it almost seemed like every time I was looking up, the running backs were getting the ball, starting with Henry Parrish, certainly a guy that's caught passes at the college level while he was at Ole Miss. So he's certainly a guy that's going to be in the mix, I believe, catching passes out of the backfield. But also Thad Franklin, not known for that, but I saw him make a few catches. He even had one, he cut over the middle, looked like he bobbled it a little bit, but he came down with it. So he was showing some hands out there. And Cody Brown, I saw him catch a pass during 11-ons as well. So good to see all the running backs involved. I'm definitely, that's a position group I want to pay attention to more with the position drills, get you guys some video on how the running backs look. I did watch them a little bit. They kind of did some footwork stuff. I think they're getting coached up pretty well by Kevin Smith. He's really working on, just footwork. All running backs need to have good feet, and he was, wanted to go through some rapid fire kind of movements with the backs there that I was watching. So I'll get some more reps on those guys. Looking forward to that. It's hard to get everything in the 25 minutes or so that we're out there. Just want to make sure I get as much as possible. Another receiver thing I want to touch on is Frank Latson. You know, Frank's a guy that, you know, I mentioned before, obviously saw him but quite a bit in high school, but 6'3", 205, he didn't look like that in high school. 6'3", 205 is what he's listed at. You know, and it does seem like I heard, you know, just kind of that he's maybe a little heavier than that. I don't know what, but the key for Frank, and whatever his weight is, he just wants to be able to be fast at it. You know, whatever that might be, whatever he plays at, he just wants to make sure he's fast. That's a strong element for him. Even though he's got that good height, he definitely has good downfield speed, and I think you'll see that. And I think we'll see that in the spring. Today there was an opportunity he had where it looked like he beat the defender. The ball was dropped in pretty well, and I couldn't quite see exactly if the defender knocked it away or if Frank completely just dropped it, but the ball fell incomplete. But definitely Frank, you know, had an opportunity. They threw a ball downfield. It was good that, you know, they're trying to throw downfield, but I expect Frank to come down with those more often than not because of what I've seen in the past, and I expect him to kind of bounce back. So a couple notes on the interviews with Josh Gaddis. He's certainly excited and trying to determine everything going on with what the team has, and you know, he's definitely interested. I'm going to post that full video of what he had to say. But you know, he's just definitely an excited guy about looking to see where they're best at with the offense. He's working a lot with the wide receivers, obviously. That's the position group he's working with, trying to get the most out of those guys. But you know, he likes being involved with the quarterbacks as well. You know, and obviously he'll sprinkle around with the running backs when he can. But you know, just complete control. I think he's definitely going to enjoy himself, enjoying the challenge. He definitely talked about recruiting in this area. Says it's, you know, the best or one of the best in the country, however he worded it. But you know, spoke very highly of the area in recruiting, the 15-mile radius he called it. So he spoke on that. Again, full interview coming. Will Mallory, Elijah Arroyo coming in and talking as well. And one thing Will said was just he's really impressed by, you know, again, Jaleel Skinner, and he said the same thing about Elijah. These guys look better than he did from a year ago, or when he arrived at Miami. Jaleel's looked good. I saw him, you know, no surprise, but split out a little bit sometimes at receiver. They can kind of, or at least off the line, not hugging the offensive line, but that's what they can do with all three of these tight ends, I believe, because they're athletic enough. I think they can run well enough, and I think they can catch the ball well enough. So definitely pay attention to maybe how they can use those guys in different formations and different things like that because of their skill set. So there's definitely a lot to like about those guys. So that's going to wrap everything up from today from the video standpoint. However, I'm going to write a Football Insider article on InsideTheU.com for more information. Maybe there's some things that I forgot to talk about or whatever it might be, or expand even more, provide some quotes, those kind of things on the guys. I do want to mention this about Elijah, a couple quick tidbits on Elijah Arroyo. I noticed he had a 305 tattoo. You know, he's a guy from down here, but he played from Texas there in high school, and he said, you know, he just said, you know, why not get it? He's from here, kind of thing. So just something I noticed from interviewing him. And then another thing he said that I picked up on that I thought was important was he said he took his body fat percentage down from 9% to 6.9. So he's a guy that, you know, honestly, just kind of looking at him, you think he looks like he's in great physical shape. And he's already improved on that since he's been here at Miami. So a couple of notes on that, but I'll have more notes on the Football Insider article, so definitely check that out. But I appreciate everybody for watching the video. Definitely stay tuned, because like I said, I'm going to show you guys the action as much as I can with everything I got, beginning with the defensive back. So thanks again for watching. Have a good rest of the day, and take care.